Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're looking at solar energy, power from the sun.
That's right. A really hot topic, you could say.
Yeah. You sent over some great material, basically breaking down what it is, why it matters.
Just the essentials.
Exactly. So our mission today, let's try to get a solid grip on the main ideas, the advantages, without drowning in technical terms. Sound good?
Sounds perfect. Where should we start?
Let's begin right at the beginning.
Yeah.
When you talk about solar energy, what are we actually talking about?
Okay. So simply put, it's just energy that comes directly from the sun. It's beamed down to us constantly.
Right. Free energy just there.
Pretty much. And the sources you sent highlight how we capture it, mainly using solar panels. You've probably heard them called PV cells, too. Photovoltaic cells.
Yeah, PV cells, I've seen that. So these panels, they're designed specifically to grab that sunlight.
Exactly. They're the key technology for harnessing it and converting it into something useful.
Okay, so we see them everywhere now, don't we? On house roofs, big open fields, these massive solar farms.
That's the versatility. It scales really well.
And the process itself, sunlight hits the panel, and suddenly, electricity. It sounds almost like science fiction. How does that actually work?
It is pretty cool, but it's solid science. Basically, inside those panels, the PV cells have special materials, semiconductors.
Okay.
When sunlight, which is made of photons, hits these materials, it knocks electrons loose, gives them energy.
Electrons, the tiny particles.
Right. And when those electrons start moving, that movement is an electrical current. It's a direct conversion. Light energy straight into electrical energy.
Wow. No turbines, no burning stuff, just light to power.
Exactly. And like the materials point out, it works on a small scale like your roof or huge scale powering whole towns.
That scalability is definitely interesting. Okay, so let's shift gears a bit. Why should people really pay attention to this? Your notes really hammered home the benefits. The first big one seems to be it's renewable, sustainable.
Oh, absolutely fundamental. Think about it, the sun. It's an almost inexhaustible source of energy for us, on human timescales anyway.
Right, it's not like oil or gas. We're not going to use it all up.
Precisely. That makes it inherently sustainable. We can rely on it for the long, long term. Generations to come.
Which ties into the next point, I think. Cost savings. That always gets people listening.
It does. Now, there is an upfront cost installing the system. We can't ignore that.
Sure, the initial investment.
But, as your sources correctly mention, over the lifespan of the system, you can seriously reduce your electricity bills. Sometimes even eliminate them entirely.
So you pay up front, but then the sunlight is free.
Essentially, yes. You're investing in decades of cheaper, predictable energy, escaping those, fluctuating utility prices.
That makes sense as a long-term financial move, and I'd guess once they're installed, they just sort of sit there. The low maintenance point also stood out.
Yeah, that's another practical plus. Compared to, say, a generator with lots of moving parts, solar panels are remarkably simple, solid state.
So less to go wrong.
Much less. Usually it's just keeping them relatively clean so they get good sunlight, maybe an occasional checkup, but the upkeep is minimal. Fewer headaches, lower running costs.
Okay, practical benefits covered. What about the bigger picture, the environment? That's huge these days.
It is, and this is where solar really shines, pardon the pun. Generating electricity from sunlight produces zero harmful emissions.
Zero, like no greenhouse gases, no air pollution.
None during operation. This directly tackles climate change concerns and improves air quality compared to burning fossil fuels. It's a clean process.
That's a massive advantage. Okay, one more key benefit mentioned, energy independence. What does that mean in practical terms?
So it means reducing reliance on the big centralized power grid and often on imported fuels.
So generating your own power right where you use it.
Exactly. For a homeowner, it means more control. For a country, it can mean greater energy security, less vulnerability to global energy price shocks or supply disruptions, more resilience.
Control security. That's pretty compelling. So if we boil down everything from the materials we look at, it seems like solar energy is being presented as this really clean, increasingly affordable way to power things, pointing towards a more sustainable future.
That captures it well. The core message is that powerful mix. It's good for the planet and potentially good for your wallet. That combination makes it a very strong contender for our energy future.
Right. So just to recap this deep dive, solar energy is power from the sun captured by PV panels. Key benefits we touched on. It's renewable, can save costs long term, needs little maintenance, is eco-friendly with zero emissions, and boosts energy
And
independence.
solid summary.
Okay, for our final thought today. We know the sun pours enormous amounts of energy onto the Earth constantly, free for the taking. So think about this. If we truly embrace harnessing that abundant solar power, how might that not just change our electricity bills, but fundamentally shift our whole perspective on what's possible with clean energy and how accessible it could really be?
Something to ponder.
Indeed. Thanks for exploring the power of the sun with us today.